All right, so this is our peer four or task four peer review, and I'm gonna watch my timer and give us each about 10 minutes and try to keep us rolling. Does anybody want to go first with theirs?
I can go first.
Okay.
I don't think I went first. I don't know. But okay, well, I will start with you, Cynthia. Cynthia, I felt like, and this is on the end of it, but I thought this was a great start to your action plan. I could really see your leadership during this process. I know last time that we talked, I was like, I just want to see that more. And I feel like you did a really good job of presenting yourself as a leader in this task. So great job there. And there were a few things that just like the few things to tweak, but I think overall this is a great task for you, and I can really see your growth in developing that action plan and how you've done that with your school improvement plan or on the school improvement team. But on the first part of the synthesis, of course, readings and resources, I gave you a 4. You did a great job researching and understanding the importance of the action plan, and your sources support the work that you did to create the action plan of your PLC. And then the rubric requirements, I gave you a 2, and the only reason I gave you a 2 is that you just haven't articulated that with your administration yet. And as soon as you provide that in there and just add that extra little, like what did you guys go over, I feel like you're going to be a 3, if not a 4. Okay. But I just feel like you're missing that one piece. Yeah. But I felt like you had a great understanding. I loved your research at the beginning of how to develop an action plan, and you've based your plan on that most pressing need, which was identified as the math. And you also made sure that your best practices that you had researched were implemented into your action plan, which I thought you did a really great job there. So the next part, the quality, within the narrative, I can see clearly how you led the PLC to create the action plan. I can see the critical thinking that you did to ensure that you were going to be meeting the pressing need that you had previously identified. I loved how you added in those resources that you were going to be pulling from, that book that everybody has, and how the math standards can be integrated. I love that. So I gave you a 4 on quality. And then mechanics and grammar. I feel like your mechanics and your grammar and your professional writing was great, but there were a few minor changes. So I gave you a 3. Just PLC needs to be written out at the first mention within the abstract and the paper. Okay. And then CTE and EBOS need to be written out at the first mention as well. You put them in parentheses, but I don't think that's correct for the APA formatting. Okay. If that makes sense. So just if you just flip-flop that. Okay.
Well, what is it supposed to be? Is it just like a comma?
No, it's actually supposed to be within parentheses then. So like you would say career and technical education, the whole thing written out, and then in the parentheses, you would put CTE.
Oh, I see.
And then you can repeat CTE after that every time you mention it.
Okay, okay.
And you had flip-flopped them.
Okay.
So, so I gave you a 3 there, and then some things were a little off on the APA style. Again, easy fixes, but your heading section needed to be in Times New Roman or whatever. I think that's the font you used in your paper, and page numbers need to be included. And then your first heading, make sure action plan is capitalized because it was lowercase. And then when I pulled up your paper on my computer, there were a few spacing and punctuation issues that had showed up. Just check those on your computer and double check that. Just, like those little blue lines and red lines. Yeah. So, and then the table that you created, I loved it for your action plan. I'm actually kind of thinking that, because you and Kristen both did that, I'm thinking that maybe I need to put that in my paper so that it's a little bit more clearly stated. But I love the table, but the table needs to be labeled outside of the table. Does that make so? Like on top of it instead of within the table, you have it right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then just put the like the title description in a line underneath that. And then I loved the figures that you included. But your figures, you also need to include a brief explanation of what the figure shows. and I put an example on your rubric that I sent you. And then just a thought, I thought that figures 2 through 5 might better fit into an appendix.
Okay.
Because what I have read about appendices, I guess I should say, were that they needed to be things that would overwhelm the reader, but it wasn't necessary for them to see it, but they could see it in addition to.
Okay, that's a good reflection. Because yeah, I was a little confused on what you wanted to do, but I included it there because I referenced it, you know.
Right, and
right.
so you can still reference it as like see Appendix B for examples or something like that, and then they can go there to see those examples.
Okay.
Because I think it's important to see like the kind of activities that you'll be doing. I think it's great information. I just think within the narrative, it was a little heavy for me to read when I was trying to follow what you were also doing in the action plan.
Okay.
So, and that's just a suggestion. If you don't take it, great. If you do, great. Okay. I'm happy either way. And then your references looked great. I gave you a 3 on that. And then just make sure those second lines have that hanging indent on like 2 of them, not all of them. Some of them had it. And I think it might have been because the link was a little long where you included that. But my additional comments, I feel like I could really see your leadership in this paper, and I loved that. There are a few things that stand out with the APA formatting, but all are simple changes. And just the one big piece that you need to add is just that meeting with your administration. And I know that you had mentioned even within your paper that it was hard to get everybody in line because you're asking a lot of people. And so if you need to, I'm happy to reread that section for you as well once you add it, if you would like me to, just kind of offering that for you. So.
Yeah, and I'm gonna ask Dr. Neal about that because we're in a magnet program, and I put that in the paper.
Yeah.
And it is enormous amount of work. So and then we're in a turnaround program on top of it. So we have a central office in our building all the time because we didn't make growth last year. So it's been kind of a really challenging. So we'll get it done. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. All right, Kristen, how are we doing on time? Did I talk fast enough?
Yeah, you got about like 3 minutes, but I think we can kind of.
Okay.
We're okay.
All right, perfect. Okay, so Kristen, moving on to you. Okay. Synthesis of course readings, resources, and suggested sources, and the narrative. I gave you a 4. I thought the content of your paper was appropriate and on topic. You can clearly see the development of your action plan. You pulled in those outside resources. I can clearly see that you were able to understand the importance and the background behind it. So that was great. And then the rubric requirements, I gave you a 3 on that. And so the knowledge of developing an action plan is very evident through the narrative or narrated presentation that you created. And I love the chart that illustrates your action plans. You included all the necessary items from the rubric. The importance, the student learning outcomes, all of those things. And I really enjoyed the presentation. And I'm sure that your administration enjoyed it as well.
Even with my dogs barking in the background.
Oh, I didn't even hear them.
Oh my
God.
So, just like 5 times. And finally I just said, well, it is what it is.
Yeah. Hey, I was just like, I love it.
My principal, she found it humorous.
Well, we all live in a circus, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that you did great there. The quality, I gave you a 4 there. Through the narrative and the narrated presentation, your critical thinking and leaderships are displayed fully. You can tell that you fully understand the goals and importance of developing the action plan as part of your PLC. So let's see here. And I can tell that you spent the time working within your PLC to ensure that you're meeting the needs of your students through the implementation of your action plan. And I also loved how you use the real student data in your narrated presentation. I like that piece. And then mechanics and grammar, I gave you a 3 here. I think that most of it appeared to be correct. Nothing stood out to me with grammar, but there were a few acronyms, and you've identified them in the abstract, but they also have to be identified in the paper.
Okay.
And then organization, it looks to be structured correctly. There are a few things that look a little misaligned. Running head looks like it was tabbed over.
Okay.
And some of those things, when you were rereading before you turned it into Dr. Neal, you probably already caught them.
Mm-hmm.
And the abstract should not be indented. That was something that was new for me. And then the table number and title are not on the same line. And what that means, like the tables in your paper, the table number is in one line and then the table title's underneath it. Like go down a line. At least from what I read. But again, Dr. Neal did say he's not going to be the APA police. So as long as you're consistent with whatever you do, I think he's happy.
Through there and redo a lot of my tables from each task.
Yeah.
I had them all over. Well, they were just all different throughout the whole process.
Yes. Well, I've done the same thing, so you're not alone. And I feel like those are all minor issues, and that can be changed very easily for you. And again, that figure information should be below the figure, according to what I read. But then I read something else, and it was above it. So again, I don't know. Just be consistent. Yeah, so just be consistent.
Okay.
And then your references look to be correct, but it does need to be double spaced.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, and then great job on uploading your presentation as a YouTube video. And I had asked, and how did you do that? Thanks for that information. I think you got it figured out. And I loved your narrated presentation. You did a good job of presenting the information in a clear and concise manner. And I just think it was a great show of your leadership.
Well,
so again, I feel like both of you guys did really well on this task, and I really enjoyed reading them and just seeing it all come together, pull all those pieces together was a lot. It was great, and at all the different levels too. So great job to both of you.
Thank you. Cynthia, do you want to go next?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I'll go ahead and start with you. Kristen, on the synthesis of your course readings, I gave you a 4. Certainly that was demonstrated, not with just the readings for this assignment, but throughout the whole course, you can see the readings narrated in your paper. On the rubric, I gave you a 3. I said all requirements of the rubric were presented. We saw the research of the action plan and the steps were indicated. I didn't see any evidence or measurement indicators in your action plan. Did you think through that process? Because when I did my research on doing action plans, it says to have some type of evidence or measurement indicators, and I didn't see that.
And I think that'd be something that I can go back and add easily. I kind of talked about it in my presentation, just the way we were gonna, tell how we're making success. But I think you're right. I think that would be a nice little column to have at the end to kind of just explain how we're gonna measure that.
Because it actually simulates our PDP, just those evidences of how you you've achieved the goal. So I just put a little note that you might want to include that. And that was the only.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's a good
suggestion. And I said again, like Felicia, that you did an outstanding job on the video, and I want to know how you did it too. That's like, well, she has to give us the little tip.
Oh yeah, I just copied our professors how they had sent us videos, and so I did it through Zoom, and I just opened up Zoom and shared my screen, and then I just did my presentation with a Google Drive or Google presentation.
Oh, okay, Zoom. Okay.
Yeah, so it was all through Zoom, and then I recorded it, and then I uploaded it onto my YouTube channel. So
okay, wonderful.
It was really easy.
Oh, good. Okay, on your quality, I gave you a 4. Certainly, I saw the critical thinking and problem-solving skills demonstrated. I love the discussion around how you had approached students in the past, and that didn't work.
Right.
And what came to mind was the leadership video that we had to watch with the it was only like 9 minutes, and the presenter talked about the 3 ways, or 3 points on what makes a great leader. And one of them was willingness to abandon the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was great incorporation there, as you talked about what hadn't worked in the past.
Right.
So certainly seeing your critical skills there. Also about how kindergarten had changed.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that was good for me to read because I have never taught kindergarten. I don't understand that world, but hearing you say how it changed. Again, I saw those critical thinking skills reflected there. So that was really good from a reading standpoint.
Thank you.
On your mechanics and grammar, I didn't see any spelling errors that I noted, or grammar. I think Felicia is a high A, an analytical person, so I didn't see any when I was reading it, so I gave you a 4 on that one. Organization, the only thing I put was, and this is really, really small, about the abstract, having keywords. You didn't have any in yours.
You're right.
And I didn't put it on your last one, but you had the last one was like that too.
You're right. Mm-hmm.
But that's probably not that big of a deal, but it is in the format.
You're right. And I went back and I added them to all my tasks before I submitted them on our the last when we had to send them all in through Blackboard. So I went back and I added those keywords. But yeah, you're right.
Okay. And then the references were all properly cited. So I gave you 4 now.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions?
No. I think
really good paper.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Miss Felicia. This I put outstanding. This was your best paper. I can tell you did a lot of work. I was like, wow, maybe feel so bad. I said it was so thorough. But outstanding. This was far I'm twisting my words up. Far your greatest paper. On the synthesis, gave you a 4. Certainly we saw your reading incorporated. And on the rubric, I put, it was very detailed. Your prompt 1 and prompt 2 were more than sufficiently completed. I think you gave more than actually the rubric required. It was very well unpacked there. And again, like you said, I love the leadership that you demonstrated as you led the PLC. So I gave you a 4 there. On the quality, critical thinking and problem solving were certainly demonstrated. And the tables and things that you use, I guess you went back and picked those back up. I've seen those. Were those the same tables from before?
They were. I was a little confused. Like through this process, I feel like I've been very repetitive in things that I've added. So, but I if I'm remembering correctly, because they all run together at this point. But yes, they are the same ones that I've used before.
Okay, which is really good because I guess when so you don't have to go back. It's good
right.
to have the information right there in front of you. But I gave you a 4 on that one as well. It was very evident that you were problem solving as you led the PLC. And then on the mechanics and grammar, I didn't see any grammar or spelling errors either. I gave you a 4. And then on organization, I put you have perfected the APA style. So thank you for your contribution to us. A good job. I didn't see any mistakes there. And then on your references, I said they were all properly cited. I gave you a 4 on that one as well. This was a very good paper. This was your
Thank you.
Yes. So those are all the comments that I had.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, so I'll keep going and let's see. I'll start with you, Cynthia. Let's see if I can pull it up. Here it is. All right, so just starting with the first one, the synthesis synthesis of the course readings. Your content is supported by external sources, and I can see that they support all your decisions made by your PLC during your process of creating the action plan. I love how you use those sources to really understand the process of making the action plan and all the components that go with the action plan. I thought your research was just wonderful. And the way you tied it into your narrative, you did a great job there. With the rubric requirements, I thought you did a great job demonstrating the steps to creating an action plan, and the importance of having an action plan in place to impact your student learning. I enjoyed reading about the meeting that your PLC had, and I saw how you led them through solutions, and I felt like your leadership just really stood out in this task, and that's what I've been looking for, and I think that's what Dr. Neal's looking for, is that our leadership and how we lead our team. And even though we bring up concerns, it's about how to navigate your team through that. And, I love how you shared the concerns that your team members had, and the way that you talked them through that and you led them to the solutions. I thought that was wonderful. And then your action plan, I just love it. I love tables, and I love how it mirrors kind of our school improvement plans. And like you said earlier, our PDPs. I love all the components, and everything's just so well thought out. And you demonstrated the leadership while you were creating that with your PLC. And then I can see the presentation you'll be making to your administration. And then once this is done, you can go back and kind of type that up maybe, because it's next week or. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I think after that, you could add just a little paragraph in there about their feedback that they give you. I had to do that as well, because when we submitted them, I had scheduled that meeting for the following week. So I had to do that as well. So that'd be an easy fix to add and get a proficient rating, if not even, accomplished. And then I just put this one little suggestion in there that you might want to add a little bit about implementing the plan. I know your time frame that you had on your action plan said November. So I don't know if you have any evidence that it might be working, or but that might be something just to talk about the implementation and what's going well to meet that accomplished rating. Okay. And then your quality, I can clearly see your critical thinking as your group discussed concerns and then proposed solutions, and this of course demonstrated problem solving skills, and the narrative clearly explains your clinical experience. So I loved reading about your meeting and how you developed your action plan. I thought this was one of your best tasks, that when it came to the quality and the writing, and I thought it was wonderful. Your mechanics and grammar, everything's written professionally and it remains in third person. And then I just put in there about the, in the abstract, identify PLC, maybe just say professional learning community, and then the parentheses, kind of like what Felicia had touched on earlier. And then down to organization, everything was good except on page 3, and this could have just been my computer when I opened it, but on page 3, right before the last paragraph, the font changes from a size 12 to 11. So, and I was just reading it and I noticed it got a little bit smaller. At first I thought it was my eyes, but I went up there and there was a couple sentences or a couple lines that had went from size 12 font to size 11. So you might just want to double check on that.
Okay.
And then just add your page numbers. And then on your action plan, check the numbered steps on the steps that you're going to take, and then over there at the evidences, there was like the numbers were like 1, 3, 3, and I know you meant 1, 2, 3, but just go back and look at that.
Yeah.
Check on that. And then your references, everything looked good in the text and in the works cited section. And then I added again just that hanging indent that Felicia had touched on earlier. And then for just my additional comments, I've really enjoyed watching your PLC develop and the action plan that you've created. It's been such an eye-opening experience to read about what's going on in high school and to hear you discuss about the challenges that your team has faced and how you've overcome them, and even now trying to get all your administrators together. I couldn't imagine getting that many people together in a room to go over your action plan. So I've enjoyed reading about that and seeing how you've went through the process.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Oh, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then Felicia, let's see. Here we go. All right. So the synthesis of the course readings, I gave you a 4. Your content is supported by your sources, and it helps support the decisions your team made in your PLC to drive your action plan in math. So everything was good there. On your rubric requirements, you demonstrated knowledge of the steps in developing an action plan. You do a great job putting this in a narrative form. Like Cynthia said, I think this was your best task that you've done so far, like as from the narrative standpoint and from the reader standpoint. I thought it was wonderful, and it displayed your critical thinking and your decision making during your PLC meeting. And then you demonstrate knowledge and understanding while investigating the needs of your grade level in math, and that's there with all of your data and your tables. And that makes it clear, in your narrative. It just helps me understand things better, because I'm just in the kindergarten world. So when y'all put those tables up, it really helps me understand what y'all are going through and the needs that your children have. And it's clear in your narrative that you were a leader while coming up with a solution to document student growth. And it was checklist, right?
Yes.
Yes, I thought, okay. I thought so. But I love a checklist. We use those a lot in kindergarten, and it's just so quick and effective. And then it's easy when you have your whole class on one sheet to really see those students who are getting it and those students who are not. So I love that idea, and I think your teachers are going to love that too, because it is so simple and quick.
Yes.
And then you've worked with your PLC to develop a clear action plan and given the presentation to your administration. And I loved the feedback that you put in there. I thought that really added something to your action plan and the feedback they had given you, and I thought it was great. And then I can see the slides in the appendix, but I couldn't get the video to play, and I mean that could have just been my computer.
Yeah.
So, and then, like I said, I typed the steps that I took to make the YouTube video.
And I changed that already. So, yeah.
Good. And then I enjoyed reading about, again, how your administration reacted to your PLC. And I think that can always be kind of a little nerve-wracking to go into administration and present that to them. But I'm sure you did a wonderful job. And I love how your slides included everything that it was supposed to, with your goals and what your teachers were going to do and the expected outcomes. And I really liked that. Like you said, you might want to consider putting your action plan into a table form to kind of mirror that school improvement plan or that PDP. But I mean, you've covered everything. I think that's just a different way to display it. So you can consider that if you want.
Maybe what I'll do is that if they come back with questions on task 4, then I can put it in a table format. So I may just let it be as is, because you guys both liked it, and then see what the evaluator thinks of it.
Yeah, and I think so too. And I think because you've covered everything in the rubric, I think that's what they're looking for anyway. Okay. And everything was really clear, like with your slides and the way the tables were in the slides. I think you're fine.
Okay.
And then the quality. I thought you did a great job showing the reader the decision making and the critical thinking that you and your PLC team did. It really showed your leadership. It was very evident that you were leading your team to come up to make these decisions to help your student growth. And then I put in there about the checklist again. And then moving on to mechanics and grammar. Grammar and spelling are correct. You remain in third person and professional throughout the narrative. All acronyms are identified the first time. I gave you a 4 there. And then organization. I can really tell you've done your research with APA, and you've helped us so much knowing all the correct formats and everything. So everything that I see was correct. The only thing that I did see was on page 7 under student learning outcomes. You might want to check that format. The second line is left aligned, and then the rest is indented. And I didn't know if that one needed to be indented with the rest of them, but it might be correct. It could have just been my computer or the way I was looking at it. So you might just want to double check that.
Yeah, I think that was our SMART goal that I put in there, was what that was. And so like I had kind of indented it, but then I just took the indentation out and just left it as a sentence, and I think that'll be fine.
Okay.
That way there's no question as to what that is.
Right. And then I liked how you placed the slideshow that you presented to your administration team in your appendix.
Mm-hmm.
And then down for references, all your references were cited properly. And just additional comments. Again, your format is so impressive. You've done some good research on APA, and everything just looks so professional. And I enjoyed reading about your action plan. So I can't wait to see, how that's going to work for your students, and see if you can get some good growth out of them.
That's our hope.
I know. Do you have any questions?
I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
We've got 6 minutes remaining, so we did good today, ladies.
Yes, we did.
All right. So do we have any other comments that we need to make, or any closing remarks?
I mean, just with like the end of this whole process coming to a close, thanks you guys for all of us working together. It's been fun, like with all of our different grade levels. We're kind of across the span, even though we're both, Chris and I are both elementary, but still all of us are very different classes, because kindergarten is its own little place, and career technical education is its own little place, and then third grade is third grade. The state of North Carolina. Yes. So it's been neat just hearing all of our experiences and how we're all very different, but we see the same common threads. So.
Exactly right. And I can see how critical having these action plans are at the early stages, so that by the time they get to high school, then they are proficient and able to deal with our content areas.
Yes.
And because a lot of them that struggle, especially in math, have struggled for many years. They say they struggle. So that early intervention, like you said, Kristen, is important.
It is so important. And I wish, sometimes in our, even in our elementary school, our Title I team has really changed over the last couple years. We used to put all our emphasis in 3rd through 5th grade, but really when you're dealing with reading, when they get to 3rd grade, it's too late. It's too late. So now our Title I team has shifted, and they put more focus into K2. And I think we've seen a lot of growth in our school because they're doing that. But it's that early intervention is just so important to get that growth from those students because I really think that certain things in the brain kind of shut down at certain ages, and it's easier to impact the student learning earlier. The earlier you can, the better.
Right. Yeah, because we have been surprised some of the basic skills that our high school students still struggle with. I mean, something as simple as converting a percent to decimal. You would think, that would just be basic knowledge, but some of them still don't understand those basic concepts.
Yeah.
So, so you can see in a group like this, you can make those connections, and you're kindergarten, right?
Yes.
Kristen, you're kindergarten. Okay. Do y'all teach math in kindergarten?
Oh yeah, we do.
Okay.
It's more about number sense and understanding numbers. There's geometry in there, even basic addition and subtraction.
With word problems too.
Yes, word problems. Yes.
A missing addend.
Yes, missing add-ins. Yes. So I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. It really is.
Kindergarten is not what it used to be at all.
Not.
Did you teach kindergarten?
I did for 3 years previous to this year.
Oh wow!
And see,
so you really understood Kristen's world, didn't you?
I did, which is why I'm really glad, because you had mentioned something today about how you were like, it just wasn't clear to me. And I guess something that, because I've had that kindergarten experience, it didn't stand out to me. I think it was something about your measures of student learning. And I was just like, oh, hey, that's going to be this, because I just knew what was going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that, you caught that, because
Yes, I am too. Because it is when we're trying to leave our own little world and trying to make things clear, it's hard to you cover all that. Well, we have less than a minute, ladies, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording.
Okay.
Then Felicia, do you want to set our next time a little bit earlier?
Yeah, I can. How long does it take to upload it and then run it and all that stuff?
When that video last time took me about 30 minutes, and I just had another laptop that I could go to.
Oh,
okay.
But it literally takes 30 minutes for that video to load. So you might want to leave it at 10:30. Huh? Unless you have another laptop to go to, but that's mine took every bit of 30 minutes.
Okay, so 10:15.
We can do 10:15, and then if we need to,
I'll let you know.
Yeah, just let me know.
Okay.
So I'll change it to 10:15, and I'll send a link out right now. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.